Hey everybody, this is Andrea Jenson from the Cash Flow CFO, and you're listening to the Cash Flow CFO Podcast, the show that explores the financial side of running a business for people who want to maximize profitability and scale with confidence. If you want to make smart financial decisions based on data and put more of your hard-earned profits into your pocket, this is the podcast for you. This episode of the Cash Flow CFO podcast is brought to you by the Cash Flow CFO. Did you know that on average, business owners have up to 84% of their personal net worth tied up in their business? Our virtual CPAs and CFOs, as well as accounting and bookkeeping experts, empower business owners just like you to make big leaps that help them maximize profitability and scale with confidence. Visit thecashflowcfo.com for more information, and thank you for listening. Hey everyone, it's Andrea, and our guest for today is Kelsea Koenreich. From nightly binge drinking and 3 arrests to author, speaker, successful entrepreneur, wife, and mom of 3, Kelsea brings a new level of power into the room to help women step into and reach the potential that was meant for them. She teaches women how to build true freedom by identifying gaps and utilizing emotional intelligence to align and optimize their businesses and lives. She brings a unique perspective that allows people to move faster, recreate who they desire to be, and become the most successful version of themselves. Welcome to the show, Kelsea.
Thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk to you. It sounds like you've lived several lifetimes in a short, you can't be more than, Anyhow, tell me a little bit about how you went from that to where you're at now, and tell us a little bit about your backstory.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like it's very shocking to hear my story. So this is usually where people are like, wait, hold up, what happened? I'm 36, but I always say my actual felt age most days is 80 because of all the lives and experience that I've lived. Not in the way that I feel physically, luckily, but in my life experience for sure. I was born and raised in Texas, and I had a rocky childhood, as so many of us do, right? And that, of course, set the stage for a lot of things to come. And I just started doing normal experimenting that I think most teenagers do. And that led to further experimentation fueled by a search for belonging and a need for attention and all of these things that I was seeking personally. And that just transpired into about 10 years of what I call a very self-destructive path. And that led me to getting arrested 3 times. That 3rd time was my rock bottom, and probably the moment I am most grateful for in my life. That was the turning point for me, in which I really made the decision to live and to truly live, to live with intentionality, to live with purpose, to not just float through my days, to not allow these self-destructive behaviors determine who I was anymore. And so I just started putting one foot in front of another. I had to change everything about my life, who I was. I had to dig into the things that I didn't want to look at, which I was formerly numbing with drugs and alcohol. And it was a long journey, I should say, right? Because I believe we're always evolving and changing still. But it's been incredible.
What a great story. And I feel like sometimes, I have the honor and privilege of talking to a lot of entrepreneurs. And I feel like that energy that it takes to be an entrepreneur, if it's contained when you're younger, it pops up in different ways. And when you layer that with other things that are happening in life, right? It's kind of like a volcano that's just like bubbling, bubbling, and then it erupts. And it's sometimes not the most productive, right? It can be destructive when not properly, having that channel or that outlet. Do you think there's a little bit of that was going on as well?
Oh, absolutely. I think that there is an element of suppression. Like I always tell people, if you have a bigger calling, if you know that we hear the saying of like meant for more, if you have this internal knowing of you're supposed to do great things, it never goes away, And again, I just think that sometimes we're blind to it. Sometimes we just don't want to see it. Sometimes we're numb. And there's a bunch of other factors. But yeah, I think that for me, entrepreneurship and a lot of my work and what I've created is all based in freedom. And it's from being trapped. I was trapped in who I was. I was trapped in the choices that I was making. I was physically trapped when I was arrested. I was trapped by so many different things that controlled me and my life, that everything that I create for myself and for my clients is now filtered through the lens of freedom. Does this give us more flexibility? Does it give us more freedom? Does it align with who we want to be and what we want to create in the world? And so it's allowed me, like, all of that pain had such a purpose, right? It's allowed me to create such different things and to create with such passion and purpose that I think wouldn't have been there if I hadn't gone through that.
Yeah, I love that. What were some of the tools that either you stumbled upon early on or were introduced to you, or things like that kind of helped you turn that corner and make that switch?
One of the things that I say often is I hate the term self-made. To each their own, if you call yourself that. But I believe that none of us are self-made. And I think that I owe everything to what I've built, what I've created. Anything that I've done, I have not done by myself. And truly, like when I talk about putting one foot in front of the other, a lot of times it was calling upon somebody and to ask for help. And that's a habit that I never stopped. And it's so interesting because I have this side of me that is independent and fierce that was fostered in childhood, built on abandonment and other fun things. But that hyper independence works against us in so many ways. And learning to ask for help and continue to ask for help, I think, is the greatest tool, to where it's like, if you want to do something great and big and wonderful, if you want to change, your first course of action should be, who's coming with me, who can help me, who can show me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that's so true. And I think the more successful you get in your business and in life, the more help you need. We could split that apart and talk about like personal life, the help that as women business owners we need, managing a household and a kid and being a wife and a sister and a daughter and all the things. And then as a business owner, hiring the right people, putting them in the right positions to help support you. And so you're not trying to do it all by yourself. Have you found that has kind of followed you along, and as you've continued to grow and develop and be successful, that you're still using those same tools and techniques, if you will?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I love that you brought up just like the struggle of the stretch, right? Of like, we're operating in so many different titles and roles and rooms and responsibilities. And I believe there is nothing better than entrepreneurship because of the freedom that we can create. But I also know, working with very successful women, how they can be trapped by their own behaviors, by their inability to ask for help, by their inability to set boundaries or recognize their own capacity. And so, yeah, it is something that is, and that's why I said it's the greatest tool that you can have, is to figure out where you want to go and then figure out who you need to get you there. Because if you try to keep doing things by yourself, that's where we see like the burnout cycle. That's where we see women who, want to burn their businesses down. That's where we see a lot of that. And so, yes, it's something that is ingrained in me to think, what help can I have? Not just to make things easier, but that could identify blind spots that I don't see, that could give me a unique shift in perspective, that could build upon even a skill set that I do have, right? And so thinking that way versus the way of thinking that we can have as independent women, to where it's like, I could do this myself, but should you is the question.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We talk a lot, with our clients, we're, supporting them on the financial side of their business. We talk a lot about opportunity cost. And I think it's so true when you look at, there's a million things you could be doing, a million things that need to be done. But what are the things that only you can do in your business? And what's the opportunity cost that you're losing by doing all the other things that aren't your highest, best use of your time and skills? And I think when you walk through the exercise and look through it in that lens, you really kind of look at it and go, oh, yeah, I'm losing a lot more opportunity over here because I'm down doing things that I could easily, bring in some team behind me to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And time is our only non-renewable resource, right? And I am so driven by the possibility of regret that I don't want to feel, that I just think it is so much better to be able to build a business that helps enhance and elevate my quality of life, that gives me freedom, that helps me feel like I'm using my gifts, than to create something that is giving me constant stress and overwhelm and taking away from my family time. That's not what I wanted to create.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, 100% agree with you on that one. I think that's a perfect segue. I'd love to learn a little bit more about how you work with clients and what you help them to accomplish and achieve. And is it business owners that you're working with primarily?
Yeah, so I work with primarily service-based mom founders. So
Okay.
I've worked with people that are in the CEO position that didn't found the company as well, but primarily mom founders is my sweet spot. And we go through this really beautiful process in my private consulting where we do a full assessment of their business. So I developed this, it's called a VIP business assessment. And so we assess 8 key areas of the business. Everything that I do is through the lens of longevity and sustainability. So we look at all these areas, we start to identify the gaps, the inefficiencies, and then we start to fix things. So we clear the clutter is basically the first thing that we're going through, is like, what's not working for you? What is taking away from not just the business, not just your financials, but also your quality of life? Like, what is not serving you? What's no longer in alignment? What are you still holding on to? And so it's this blend of like strategically implementing things and changing things, while also kind of what I call like a call up into becoming a visionary CEO versus being stuck in the day-to-day operations, with the goal of sustaining a business that feels better and removing you from the day-to-day operations. So we clear the clutter, we formulate sustainable solutions instead of temporary band-aids, and then we start to uncover the unseen, right? And that's the fun part, is all these women that I work with are so brilliant, and they've obviously created these, high revenue businesses. They have teams, they know how to do things, but they are still held back from maybe what they're truly passionate about, what their true purpose is. There are things that they are not able to do because they're so stuck in the day to day. And sometimes that's spending more time with their family. It's usually a combination of those things, but really uncovering the unseen. And so that's usually the process that we're going through. So it's, again, that heavy strategic support of implementing new things and getting rid of things that are not serving them, But then also it's heavy on the personal development side, because I'm sure, as you know, working with these same types of women, probably there is so much that has to occur in ourselves to become true leaders and to step into a different element of running a business, because where it's like most of these women are going from solopreneurs and they're operating in that solopreneur mindset. So there's scarcity that has to be overcome. There's just so much. And so doing these things alongside each other is so important.
Start scaling with confidence today. The Cash Flow CFO is a full-service accounting and fractional CFO firm. So it goes without saying that our financial experts are phenomenal at number crunching. But more than that, they are expert communicators who will connect all those complicated financial dots in a way that just makes sense. We don't wait in the wings and check in every so often either. With our boutique approach, we position ourselves front and center, watching over every dollar that comes in and out of your business as if it was our own. So if your business is making money and you're ready to take it to the next level, but you're not sure you completely understand your numbers, and you're looking for that trusted guide to help you build a roadmap to reach your financial goals, it sounds like we would be a great fit. Visit thecashflowcfo.com and let's get started empowering you to build and scale your business the way you want to today.
I'd love to know what kind of revenue growth you see when they simplify and clear the clutter, what they're able to accomplish.
Yeah, it's so funny because I'm one of the few business consultants, coaches I don't publicly talk about money, and to each their own, once again, but my clients are people, not numbers to me. And when I work with people, it is extraordinary the actual revenue gain that happens. And I think that's the fear, is that since they've operated at a frequency that is doing all the doing, moving into true leadership, moving into time freedom feels so scary. They don't know what it looks like. So it's like holding their hands in that process. And it's truly surprising to them to be like, okay, we're having our best month. We're having our best year. And it's every time. And it's just like, yes, we're gathering the data to show you that this is possible without you being chronically overwhelmed, without you losing sleep, without you always having 25 tabs open in your head. This is possible. So yeah, it varies business to business, but there's always a significant increase in revenue.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Anytime a business can go from a complex business model or just a lot of moving pieces to simplify, it just sets that ability to scale and grow the business. So it's a beautiful thing to watch, because people are like, oh, well, it's scary to look at revenue streams and go, yeah, this one I enjoy doing. It's profitable. Okay, keep going. This one, it's profitable, but my team doesn't like it. It doesn't feel good. Okay, let's get rid of it. And they're like, wait, you want to get rid of a revenue stream? I'm like, yeah, watch, let's see what happens. And every single time it's that you get it down to what is profitable, what you enjoy, what your team, it lights them up to do. And you're just clearing all that stifled energy. And it's amazing what happens. And I'm sure you see it in your business all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why having a CFO, having somebody like you in your corner, that like, there's so much power. Like, I'm the biggest promoter of CFOs. One of my favorite clients is also a CFO. It's just like what you guys do is so important. Like, there's so much power in knowing and truly understanding your financial situation. And there's so much freedom of choice that comes when you know that so many women lose that, right? Like, we created these businesses to run our own businesses. And then it's like, we're showing up and we're working 9 to 5, or we're working 9 to 5. And then we work after the kids go to bed too. And then our email is always on. And I'm like, whoa, is this what you wanted? Like, this is your choice. It's like people forget that. And so having people to give you data that says, hey, you don't have to do it like this, whether that's from a financial standpoint or from a strategic standpoint. For me, is like, we can rearrange these things. It's like, let's take this room full of furniture that's got shit everywhere. Let's rearrange it. Let's throw out this old chair. Like you said, get rid of the revenue stream that's dragging you down. And it's beautiful what can happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I love that because you operate off of data. We do too. And the numbers don't lie and the numbers don't have emotions. And so if you can, as a business owner, get used to using data to make decisions, then it's like you marry the human element, right? The emotional component with the data. Because a lot of women business owners, when the more successful they are, you can ask them, well, how did you get this far without having all these other things in place? And oftentimes they'll say, well, it was my gut. I just listened to my gut, or I just knew, I had a feeling, I knew. Well, if you get to a certain level, you're at 7 figures, 8 figures in revenue, you marry the gut and the data together and you are unstoppable. And I think that's really where you can get to a certain level, but you're not going to get past it in a way that makes you sane and enjoyable if you're not putting those two components together.
So true. It's so true. And it's so interesting because I'm sure you see a lot of this is like people do one or the other, right? It's like, okay, we only operate off data and financials. And so the financials say, or the data says the business is doing well. And to be honest with you, some of my highest earning clients are also the most unhappy. And I think the financial goals and revenue goals, it's so interesting because everybody looks at them differently. But I feel like there is so much pressure to continue expanding the revenue number up. But I'm like, this is why understanding numbers matters, because you have people that are running 7, 8-figure businesses that aren't bringing home any money because their expenses are so high, So I think there's this element to where both things have to make sense. You have to have data and you have to have strategy and you have to have a plan, but then you also need to be really honest with yourself about what you want and what you don't want. Because a lot of people are basing their goals, whether it's financial or otherwise, on what they think they should be doing, because that's what other people are doing in the same industry. And I'm like, well, do you want to do that? Or last time you were there, like one of the best ways you can discover what you do want is by going back to what you don't want. And instead of making assumptions, because that's what they are when we set goals. When we set a goal, we're assuming that will be the thing that will make us happier, make us feel like we're enough. And we don't know what it feels like because we haven't been there. So if you know what you don't want, right? If you know that you don't want a business that is stressful and overwhelming and continues to take away from your time for yourself or your family, then that gives you something to work with. Okay, so let's build something different. Let's create a schedule that doesn't allow that. What do finances need to look like? What does my price point need to be like? There's a place for both of these things, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And I think too, it's important for business owners not to just be in the hustle of doing the doing. It's important to take that time to step back and any time in their business is a good time to do it, especially if it's coming up on a new quarter, a new year. You have that clarity to kind of go, okay, what do I want this to look like? And how much money do I need to be pulling out of this business to support my lifestyle? And if you start with that number and you work all the way backwards up to what does my revenue need to be, then you've got a clear goal and you're really treating your business as an asset that is generating personal wealth versus something you just do, that I started doing this because I love it. And now I'm, whatever it may have evolved into being. But having that clear understanding that this is an asset you're building, because eventually you're going to want to exit this asset. And so you want to be able to leverage it, right? If you need financing, if you want to sell it in the future, these are all the things that you want to be super clear about. And I love the work that you do because you help people conceptualize that and really get clear on what do you want this to be in 1, 3, 5, 10 years from now, right? So that then it's just mathematical equation from there to get you in all those other key performance indicator metrics that will, tell you if you're on track to hit those goals.
Yeah, absolutely. And to add to that, also creating new metrics, right? Because again, we go back to fulfillment and happiness. And I don't believe personally that somebody is truly successful if they are working, and 90 million hours and don't spend any time with their family and don't have any hobbies. And because you're not living, and I'm so passionate about changing that for women, because we identify, especially for mothers, we have to change the way work looks. And I absolutely do not believe that we are supposed to sit on our couches all day and wait for money to manifest and rain on us, because I think that extreme is bullshit. But I also think there's always a middle ground, and finding that middle ground and being willing to create a path that is different than what we saw the generations before us do. To when you show up, you work and you're there and you do work hard. But when you're off, and let yourself be off and let yourself be a human and a CEO.
Mm-hmm. 100%. Yeah. Because if at the end of the day, if you're not enjoying what you're doing, then why bother? If you're not profitable at what you're doing, why bother? There's so many other things you could be spending your energy on. And yeah. Oh gosh, completely agree with that. Yes.
Yeah. I feel like revenue will follow that too. I don't know if you see that at all, but like if you're working with people behind the scenes to where it's like, yeah, I don't really love my business anymore. I'm like, well, you're just say goodbye to your money because your energy is out of it,
Oh yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's like, there's certain principles that are the energy of money. There's certain principles that are the tangible, real, components of managing money. You have to have them both. Otherwise you'll make the money, but you'll never be able to keep it, right? It'll always go out of the business as fast as it's coming in. And the other side of that is you're stifling your growth, right? Because you're energetically miserable at making money. And so the universe is like, I'm not going to give you more. You don't like it, so you have to really enjoy what you're doing in order to, keep that flow of money coming into the business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. I agree.
Awesome. Well, this has been such a great conversation. I'd love to know, for our listeners, our viewers, how can they find out more information about what you do?
Yeah, sure. The easiest place is my website, KelseyKoenreich.com. I hope that you put that in the show notes, because good luck spelling all of that.
We definitely will.
Yeah. And then, of course, I'm all the social media platforms, LinkedIn, Instagram, just by my name. So easy to find there.
Perfect. Yes, we will definitely put all the links in the show notes. And, I think when, our listeners are coming here for financial guidance and financial information, this is the other piece of it that dovetails together. And you can, without one, you don't have the other, right? So I think it's so valuable what you do and the services that you provide, because if everything's a mess over here in your head and it's cluttery, then you're preventing all of this financial prosperity that could be in your business. So it's so, so important to get both of those components in order. And then, it's a beautiful thing to watch a business, once they have that dialed in, just soar. And it's fun to be a part of too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. And I agree completely. There is, the different components, and having a CFO in your corner is an absolute necessity, and having somebody in your corner who is high enough out of your business to see the things that you don't see, while also being willing to have the depth and level of care to truly want the best for the long term, that's what I really pride myself on. And that is a completely different experience. But I always say, like I said, one of my clients is a CFO, and there's a few clients that we both have. And I'm like, that's the dream team right there. If you have a CFO and you have a mentor that is giving you strategic guidance and helping you develop yourself personally and professionally, unstoppable.
Yep, 100%. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. This was a great conversation. I appreciate you being open to sharing your story and what a journey it's been, and look at where it brought you to this beautiful place in life. So congrats for that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like and review, and we'll catch you on the next episode. If you're looking for more content or resources in the meantime, check out our website for information, blogs, and our I've Got a Spreadsheet for That series. That's thecashflowcfo.com. Again, thecashflowcfo.com. We can't wait to hear from you.